Hi, Deacon Ed McCormick here on this Holy Saturday at St. John the Baptist Catholic Community. And yesterday, during the Stations of the Cross, I preached a message about the cross and why the cross. You know, this entire Lenten season, I've been preaching about discipleship and how we're all called to be disciples of Jesus. And we have been exploring each Sunday how following Jesus changes our lives. And the Samaritan woman and the blind man and Lazarus have all helped us to understand why being a disciple of Jesus changes everything. Now, last Sunday was Palm Sunday, and we recounted Matthew's account of Jesus' passion. And during that Mass, I preached about how as disciples of Jesus, we are called to walk to the cross with Jesus. And this raises a really important question, and that is why? Why would we walk to the cross? I mean, I understand why Peter denied Jesus. I understand why the disciples fled. That makes sense to me. When a powerful military government comes down on you, arrests your friend, and is going to kill him, it makes sense to say, I'm out. And recently I saw a YouTube video that was kind of making fun of Christians enacting the Passion and recounting Jesus' death and what was our obsession with Jesus' death and blood and all this. And I appreciate their perspective, but here's what they didn't get that I want you to understand. We approach the cross from within the power of the resurrection and the light of the Holy Spirit. We walk to the cross with Jesus in the power of the resurrection and through the light of the Holy Spirit. And this is why we approach the cross. This is why we walk to the cross with Jesus. You see, it sounds backwards because the cross happens to Jesus before the resurrection, but not for us. For us, the resurrection has already occurred, and our discipleship is lived out of the life of the resurrection and the light of the Spirit. And so it's from within that context that we approach the cross. And the first thing that the Holy Spirit does when it shines a light on Jesus' crucifixion is to show us that on the cross, Jesus breaks the grip of the forces of sin and evil that enslave us. The cross is the place where Jesus liberates us from all of those dehumanizing and distorting and enslaving forces that drive us to hurt each other and to hurt us. It's on the cross that Jesus defeats the forces that cause us to crucify others, that cause us to act with cruelty and indifference, to exploit others, to exploit the planet, to engage in injustice. And so, in the light of the Holy Spirit, in the power of the resurrection, the reason we approach the cross is because it is the source of our freedom. And that's why we celebrate the cross. But secondly, when you approach the cross, when you walk to the cross with Jesus, you discover that out of Jesus' death, God unleashes a new power into the world. Not a military power, not the power of domination or violence, but the power of divine life and love. The very power of heaven pours into our world, creating the possibilities of living a new kind of life. The power that comes out of the cross gives us the capacity to live the kind of human life God always intended for us. We now can live from the power that raised Jesus from the dead rather than serving the forces of evil and sin. And then here's the last thing I want you to understand. The reason we walk to the cross with Jesus is the Holy Spirit. It's the Spirit that moves us to have the courage to walk with Jesus to the cross. It's always the Spirit that leads us to Jesus. And what the Spirit does is it shines a light on Jesus' suffering and death so that we never forget. But more than that, the Spirit continues to shine a light on all peoples who are being crucified, all peoples who are being mistreated and abused and neglected and exploited. And the Spirit does that so that our eyes start to open up, our hearts start to soften. As His disciples, as Jesus' disciples, the Spirit moves us to see who's suffering, to move our hearts to act, to care for them, and to love them. This, my friends, is why Good Friday is very good. Have a blessed Easter.